And now, for my second act. Welcome back. Good to see you. Look, I'm catching up. I'm catching up. Looks good. Something in the air. Yeah, not there yet. That's commitment. Oh, we got everybody.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. As you can tell, it's a little bit of a busy night, so we're so glad to have you here with us at Shabbat services. For those of you who are watching at home and don't know what we're referring to, we also had a Tot Shabbat prior to services, and those tots and their parents are lingering, so we are just going to have to outsing them. I think that will be our goal, and they will eventually want to keep... They'll eventually leave, or maybe they'll come in if we sing loud enough. So let's try and see how we do. So we're going to start tonight with a song that can be found on page 11. And we have done this one before, though it's okay if it doesn't sound familiar to you, but it's a really pretty one. It's called Ki Eshmera Shabbat. Ki Eshmera Shabbat songs to get you in the mood, but I think first we're going to turn to our Shabbat blessings. And tonight feels particularly lucky because there was actually a challah shortage. I know, it's a ridiculous thing. But there was a challah shortage, and we could not find a challah anywhere we went. And then Liz came and said, I made you a challah, which is so beautiful. So you'll get to meet Liz again later, but it's kind of exciting and bashert, as they say, that we have this beautiful challah. So we're going to start with the lighting of our candles. I can do it, Alec. I can do it now with this lighter. If you don't come here all the time, you don't know that I can't use a lighter, but we've found one that I am able to use. Because it's like a little lightsaber. There you go. So we take a few moments and we just bring in the spirit of Shabbat. If you wish, you can cover your eyes. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. And for a little sweetness, say Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen. And a beautiful challah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Too pretty to eat right now, so we'll have to eat it later. All right, so I think we'll do a few more Shabbat songs to be able to sort of really feel like we are experiencing that Shabbat spirit. This one, I think maybe more of you will know, so I hope you'll join with us. This one's on the top of page 10, and the words Hine Ma Tov just really are a way of saying how wonderful it is for all of us to be here together as brothers and sisters, as family and friends. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. We are taught that when we celebrate Shabbat, it's as if angels can enter our midst. And so we sing a special song that welcomes these angels in. It's on page 24, and we say to them, Shalom Aleichem, welcome to you, ministering angels who come into our midst. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boechem L'Shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem L'Shalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. On the bottom of 27, it reads, entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time, even at unlikely times and through unlikely places. There is no place on earth without the presence. And so I ask you to please rise as we greet the presence, as we greet each other and call each other to worship with the words of the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. On 31, we read together at the top in the English. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim. On 33, as you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. And we join in Shema on 34. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kavod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavacha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. That wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. So we sing Michamocha, what our ancestors sang as they marched together at the shores of the sea. Michamocha, Bailim Adonai. Musician David Crosby died yesterday, and I have to tell you that I spent all yesterday and all today talking with Rabbi Michael about wouldn't it be amazing if we could do a Shabbat just using his music and putting it to the words of the prayers, and we decided maybe it wasn't totally appropriate, and also that it's a little bit hard because he was something pretty spectacular. But really the song that I wanted to do the most has to do with this next one. We're not going to do it, don't worry. But one of the songs that he sang with Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young was Find the Cost of Freedom. And I love that because I think about that phrase every single time we sing Hashkivenu. Because there is this connection between the idea of Michamocha, which we sing, which is all about getting freedom, and then realizing that there's a cost, that it's not easy. It's not as if suddenly we're free and everything we've ever wished for falls into our laps. So we're not going to sing Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, maybe another time. But we will sing the song that I think has very much the same message, Hashkivenu, which can be found on page 42. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Shelter us beneath thy wings. Shelter us beneath thy wings. Oh Adonai, guard us from all harmful things. Oh Adonai, keep us safe God, wrong from right. Amen. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. V'haminenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. We turn now to page 46, and I invite you to rise for words of tefillah. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehillatcha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotzeinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el hagadol hagibor v'hanora, El Elyon, gomer chasadim tovim, v'koneh hakol, v'zocher chasdei avot v'imahot, u'mevii geula livnei v'neihem, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. Please be seated, except for Liz. Liz, you get to come on up. So yesterday, we had the great pleasure of being able to go to the mikveh and to be there with Miss Liz as she officially became a member of the Jewish people. Now, the thing about Liz is that even if she doesn't look familiar to you, it's because she has been watching you through that screen for several years now, very busy raising some babies along the way. But it is such a pleasure to be able to make this moment official. Rabbi Michael, you picked the heavy Torah. I'm just saying.
On purpose.
Okay. Oh, thanks. Okay. All right.
She can handle it.
At this sacred and joyous moment, we renew the covenant at Sinai between God and the people of Israel. Recalling the words of the prophet Isaiah, strangers shall join them and shall cleave to the house of Israel. God, we thank you for your many blessings. We thank you for the truth you've revealed to all humanity. Above all, we thank you for the gift of your Torah, which has ever been a light for our path. O God, grant your loving favor to Liz in this holy place as we welcome her into the Jewish faith. Knowing well the history of our people, she's chosen to join herself to us. We open our hearts to her, strengthen her in her resolve, help her live in fidelity to this decision. May she always find joy and satisfaction in the fulfillment of her Jewish life. Grant her many years of strength and happiness in our congregation. We praise you, O God, in whose presence is the fullness of joy. Now, we're going to ask Liz some questions. She has already been asked and answered these questions, so this is really for your benefit. We already know what she's going to say, but...
Do you choose to enter the eternal covenant between God and the people Israel and to become a Jew of your own free will?
Yes.
Do you accept Judaism to the exclusion of all other religious faiths and practices?
Yes.
Do you pledge your loyalty to Judaism and to the Jewish people under all circumstances?
Yes.
Do you promise to establish a Jewish home and to participate actively in the life of the synagogue and of the Jewish community?
Yes.
If you haven't already been asked to join a board. Do you commit yourself to the pursuit of Torah and Jewish knowledge?
Yes.
So, Liz, you've. Yeah. So, do you want to take the turban? It's like so heavy. Sorry. So, Liz, you chose a Jewish name, and I thought maybe we would just ask you to share the name that you chose and why you chose it.
Sure.
We said she wouldn't have to speak much, but at least that's a little thing.
So I chose the name Johanna. So my husband was born and raised Jewish, and we're raising our two girls Jewish, little toddlers over there. And Johanna is his great-grandmother, their great-great-grandmother.
And Johanna, the name Chana, which we know is one of the great sort of leaders of our people, but adding sort of the yo in front of it means there's a little bit of extra God in there. And so, Johanna, you are absolutely so blessed with God's presence, and we are further blessed by having you among our people, and we're just so excited for you. So we told you would get your official certificate back, so here it is, and may this be just the beginning of a long journey with us together. We're so happy for you and for us. And if you're really nice, maybe she will also make you a challah, because you cannot have any of ours. So we're going to turn now and offer a prayer for peace. And we think so much about all of the different people in not just our community, but around the world, Jewish people and people of all faiths and backgrounds, everyone who could use just a little bit of extra peace at this time. And so on page 60, I would invite you to join with me as we sing in the words of Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Ki Atah Melech Adon, L'chol Shalom. Ki Atah Shalom, Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael. Bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. We're going to turn our service now to page 253, and we'll take a few moments and offer prayers of healing for those people who are in our community, our circles of family and friends who could use just a little bit of extra strength at this time. And if there's someone that you're thinking of who would appreciate knowing their names were shared here and you'd like to say them, I would invite you to do so at this time. We're thinking too of Rebecca Span, of Kimberly Black, of Lauren Michelle Yoffe. We're thinking of Arlene and Lacey Weinstein. We're thinking of Yitzhak Ben Meir, and just all those names that we're saying in our hearts. For them and us, we sing a Misha Berach.
And Moses' rod touched the Nile, and the Nile turned to blood. Shabbat shalom. I guess I should go into more detail. Let me get unraveled first. The Torah portion this week is one that I'd like to spend about 3 weeks on. I'll try and do what Rabbi Amy does, which is laser focus it down into a few minutes. But I can't tell you that the distillation works in the same way with me. Sometimes I need a bit more time. There's so much that is going on in the Torah portion this week, so I want to catch you up, and then I'm going to try my best to laser focus. We're in Egypt. It's not going well. We've been slaves to Pharaoh for a long time, and we've been crushed. We've had terrible bondage, and Moses has gone out and seen the plight of his people, and has gone into the desert, and has found a wife, Zipporah, and has encountered the burning bush. And now it's time to go on the mission. And the mission is to save the Jewish people. And God says to Moses, "You may not remember me from the last chapter, but my name is God. I actually have a few different names." That's actually Rabbi Amy's favorite part of the portion. And the idea is pretty profound, which is that I am a God that appears many times in history, all throughout history, in many different ways that has many different names. Your ancestors knew me by one name. You and your generation know me by a different name, and you should call me this name. And I'm going to make a mockery of Pharaoh and all of the terrible things that happened to you. And you will know that Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh is my name, and that I have redeemed you from Egypt. So go, take these words, and go to the Israelite people and tell them that they are going to be free. And I will now begin to quote. But Moses told this to the Israelites, and they would not listen. Their spirits crushed by cruel bondage. Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, "Go and tell Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to let the Israelites depart from his land." But Moses appealed to God, saying, "The Israelites would not listen to me. Why then would Pharaoh listen to me? I am aral sfatayim. I have uncircumcised lips. I get tongue-tied." So Adonai spoke to Moses and Aaron in regard to the Israelites, and Pharaoh, king of Egypt, instructing them to deliver the Israelites from the land of Egypt. That's pretty sparse. If I were a movie director, I'd include a few more scenes. So I feel like a few things, and so do the rabbis of old, the Rishonim, they look at this and they're like, this is a wild story. And the craziest part of that is that after that, we go into a genealogy and they cut to a whole different scene entirely. It's almost like a different movie. So the rabbis really want to know, what is the deal with Moses? He goes to the Israelite people. He says to them, today you're slaves. Tomorrow you'll be free. And they're like, yeah, okay. That's great. And Moses reports this story to God. So the rabbis want to know exactly what's going on. And they begin to laser focus in on the text. And they find a very strange thing goes on. In the line, it says, Moses told this to the Israelites, and they would not listen to Moses, their spirits crushed by cruel bondage. It's very easy for us to Google the Torah and get the English translation. But if you're living in the year 1080 something, in the Dark Ages, in Troyes, France, and your name is Rashi, and you're the greatest rabbi that has lived in that era, you want to know what the Torah is trying to say. And when you read this part, it gets very weird. It's not clear. We understand the story, that it was very difficult to go through slavery. But this word comes up that really just makes everybody stumble and stop. It's a phrase, and it goes like this. Miksor ruach. Miksor ruach. Miksor ruach is the word that we translated as a crushed spirit. So Rashi looks at this and he looks at the words. He's like, I don't understand what's going on here. And he looks at the word ketzer, which means like short. And then he looks at the word ruach, which means wind. So he does his own translation. And he figures, everybody's been working so hard out doing what they're doing that they're out of breath. And that's why they can't hear that Moses is about to tell them that today they're slaves and tomorrow they're going to be free. So nobody listens and nobody cares. Because they're working hard, they had avodah kasha, they had hard labor, and therefore they were breathing very hard. Okay. Does that satisfy anybody? I don't feel like a real geschmacht in my neshama from that. It doesn't make me feel very sweet on a Friday night. So a few other people are talking about this. And they're saying, this is a condition that doesn't only apply to this time in history. This is a condition that applies to people throughout history. And throughout history, different rabbis try and interpret the words. The Italian rabbi Sforno gives this interpretation. He says, if it had not been for the heavy labor which they had to perform, they would have paid much more attention to Moses. They would have understood Moses' arguments, and what he said would have been very believable. Okay. It's still a very difficult question for me. Why is it that when you go to somebody and you tell them, today you are in a horrible situation, you're a slave, and tomorrow you're going to be free? Why didn't it just go with the flow? Why didn't the scene just, everybody say, yay, we're going to be free? Isn't that what everybody should have said? As the director, I'm just saying, I would have put that scene in. Everybody cheering and screaming. But I'm not the director, and I didn't write the book. And that's why it's very important that we know it's been a bestseller for history. People have been fighting over it for generations because they don't understand what it means. Ketzer ruach is a condition where you have a shortened spirit, where your spirit has been cut short, katsar. And as I listen to the Mishaberach tonight, and I listen to everybody who gives names, I want to tell you that the reason we say the Mishaberach and we say those names is because we want to know who's Ketzer Ruach, whose soul is being crushed right now. And if you can't say your name, then maybe you know someone's name. And if you can't say their name out loud, Rabbi Amy says to say their name in your heart. And I want to acknowledge that for some of us, it's our name that we'd like to say. That for some of us, we're in Ketzer Ruach. That we've had very difficult labor. And that we've been through a lot. And that our spirits are crushed. But what we can learn from the Torah portion is what the people could not hear Moses teach. And that's where the Hasidic teaching comes in. Pharaoh is a way of being. Pharaoh is an axiom. And Pharaoh tells us that every single day is going to be the same. Over and over again. It's just going to stink. It's going to be the same as it was yesterday. It'll be the same tomorrow. Nothing ever changes, because that's what it is to be a slave. And that's what Ketzer Ruach also is. It's to believe that nothing's ever going to change. And that you're stuck. And that's what Moses is trying to convey. The people can't understand. Because Pharaoh still has a hold. And what the people don't know is that the next morning, Moses is going to go with his staff and Aaron, and they're going to touch that staff to the Nile, and it's going to turn to blood. And everything as they knew, the whole paradigm of reality, is going to change. But they don't understand that because they're in Ketzer Ruach, and their souls are crushed, and they think tomorrow is going to be the same as today. And what they don't understand is that in a few weeks' time, they're going to take that staff and they're not going to be on the Nile anymore, that they're going to be on the edge of the Red Sea. And then Moses is going to be talking to God. He's going to be complaining again. I can't do it. Nobody listens to me. I can't communicate. My soul is crushed. What do you want me to do? You want me to be in charge of these people? You want me to lead this business? You want me to be in this relationship? You want me to take charge of this family? I don't want to do it. I'm in Ketzer Ruach. My soul is crushed. And God says to Moses, enough. Stop kvetching. Lift up your rod. And Moses lifts up his rod. And it doesn't say this in the movie, you know. Moses lifts up his rod, and then the Red Sea parts. But not until he does something. So my message to you on Shabbat is, and if you're doing well, kanahara, you should live and be well, as my grandmother would say. But if you're in Ketzer Ruach, if you feel like tomorrow is going to be the same as today, which is sometimes my opinion on the weather in Missouri, although Missouri is always proving me wrong, because the saying in Missouri, if you don't like the weather, just wait 10 minutes. A very godly people. Because in St. Louis, we know that things can change. And that's what the Israelites don't understand. And if you're in Ketzer Ruach, you won't know that. Because Pharaoh wants you to think that every day is going to be the same from now on. But tomorrow you'll convert, and you'll immerse in the mikveh, and you'll emerge like an Israelite from the Red Sea. And you'll hold the Torah, and you'll recall the liberation from Dachau. Tomorrow, you'll raise a glass and make a l'chaim. What is amazing about the story of the Exodus is the intervention of God in history. And this is what Rabbi Jonathan Sachs speaks about. He says, breaking Ketzer Ruach requires that you break Pharaoh's spell. And what Pharaoh has us believe is that tomorrow's going to be like today, which stunk, and that'll be like the next day, and it'll always be the same, and nothing will change. But as sure as I look out on some people in the congregation right now, and I remember seeing them as little children, things change. And if you are in a difficult and painful place, I want to try and remind you of what Moses said to the Israelites that they could not hear. Tomorrow, it's going to be better. And after that, it's going to be better. And after that, it's going to be better. And it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be the same. And you may even want to go back, but the time machine is broken, and you're stuck in this moment. But this moment leads to the future, and the future, like this Shabbat, is filled with goodness and sweetness, and all of you. Shabbat Shalom. May you have a good Shabbos, and may you enjoy freedom from Ketzer Ruach.
So I'll ask you now, if you will, to please rise, and we're going to join together for words of Aleinu, which are on the bottom of page 282.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גאולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. On page 287, V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol ha'aretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo
We know there are days where it feels like one day just goes after another in the same way, and so often we feel that way when we are remembering someone, when there has been a loss in our lives. And so we are thinking in particular of those who have lost loved ones in recent days, and our hearts go out to their family in sympathy as we recall their names, Francis Cummins and Adam Thomason. We recall the names of those, the anniversary of whose death occurs on this Shabbat, and whose names have been inscribed in the archives of our congregation or on the Wall of Honor for a perpetual memorial. Pauline Ach, Dr. Harry Agris, Walter Baker, Dr. R. Scott Berger, Leona Bernard, Pearl Bluestein, Blanche Sheely Cohen, Margaret Dash, William Billy Benjamin Eisman III, Lily N. Ellman, Lillian Fliegel, Meyer Frank, Betty Friedberg, Joseph Gelber, Walter Gelber, Boris Goldenhirsch, Helen C. Goldsticker, Stanley Martin Goodman, Selma Gould, Joyce Toodles Green, Victor Gross, Rose Wohl Herman, Max Horowitz, Marie Jacobs, Donald Katz, Jack Kessler, Ida Korach, Carolyn Cutton, Matilda Lair, Michael Levy, Albert Lissner, Teresa Hausman Lowenberg, Max J. Mayer, Norma Schwartz Mendel, Pearl Mendel, Bertha Michelson, Norman Nackman, Matthew Ryan Neal, Maurice Newmark, Helen Factor Ross, Benjamin Gottlieb Rubin, Louis Sachs, Moritz Schukott, Irving Schwartz, Nancy Shapiro, Faye Sharon, Jarrett Silverman, Harry Simon Jr., Ira B. Simon, Joseph A. Stein, Eva Gregor Steiner, Edward Stillman, Bob Sundheimer, Arthur Tucker, William Waldman, Toby Weinstein, Cora Sheely Weinstock, Marvin Weitzman, Marilyn Werner, and Sigmund Wolf. So with these names and the names we keep in our hearts, we join in the words of the Mortar's Kaddish on page 294. Yitzgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ba'alma divorach yirtzeh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayachon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael,
ba'agala uvizman kariv emru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mavarach la'alam olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitzpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei dekudasha b'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata. Da'amiran ba'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And we say, Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. Amen. So we'll close with one more song about building a better world. Again, it's not David Crosby, but I feel like he would have liked this one if he sang Hebrew songs. So, right? I don't know. Okay.
Helplessly hoping.
Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, 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 yadadai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, 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 yadadai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, 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 yadadai. Olam chesed yibaneh. I will build this world. I will build this world from love. You will build this world. You will build this world from love. And if we build this world, from love, God will build this world. God will build this world from love. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Oh, God. Oh, that's terrible.